planet. We're going to be learning about the Earth as a planet. The Earth as a planet. In the solar system, there is the sun. And revolving around the sun is the planets. Revolving around the sun is the planets. One of those planets is the Earth. So the solar system is something like this. We have the sun. Then revolving around the sun is the planets, each of them. So these are the planets. They move around the sun in their own path. So you have the Earth, you have Mars, you have Jupiter, you have Saturn, you have Pluto. All of them are planets. So the Earth is one of the planets that revolve around the sun. This is the sun. You have the planets, 9 of them revolving around the sun. So the Earth is one of them. The Earth is one of the planets revolving around the sun. So the world, the Earth we are living in, is one of the planets that revolve around the sun. So the solar system is made up of the Earth and the other planets revolving around the sun. Until recently, it was believed that the Earth was as flat as a table. So in the olden days, people believed that the Earth was flat because when you're driving, you drive on a flat plane. So based on that very knowledge, people thought that the Earth was flat. But it has been proved that the Earth is spherical. This is the shape of the Earth. The Earth is actually spherical. It is not flat. It is spherical. It has been proved beyond reasonable doubt that the Earth is spherical in shape. It is slightly flattened at the poles. This is the North Pole, and this is the South Pole. The Earth is a little bit flat here. It's flattened at the poles. It's flattened at the poles. To give it a nearly spherical shape, that means that the Earth is not a perfect sphere. It's not a perfect sphere, but it's a sphere that is flattened at the pole. To give it a shape known as geode. So this is actually the shape of the Earth. Geode. So the shape of Earth is geode. So you see, the Earth is actually one of the planets. There are many of the planets. We have the Mars, we have the Pluto, we have the Saturn, we have the Jupiter. There are plenty planets, 9 of them in the solar system. The solar system, the chief in the solar system is the sun. The sun is the chief in the solar system because it is the object at the middle, whereas the rest of the planets revolve around it. The rest of the planets revolve around it. So the Earth is one of the planets in the solar system. The Earth as a planet in the solar system. So the solar system is made up of the sun in the middle with the planets revolving around it. So having looked at this, we will now look at the Earth in the solar system. We'll now look at the Earth in the solar system. The Earth in the solar system. Spacemen have often described the Earth as a beautiful jewel. That's what people that go to the space describe the Earth as. And from the diagram I drew, we have as a sphere with flattened poles, something like this. You have Africa, This is Africa, and this is Nigeria, where we are staying here. Then you have Europe. You have some part of Asia, Middle East. Then you have the South and North America thereabouts. So people that have been traveling to space says that the Earth can be described as a beautiful jewel when seen from the space. So if you're in an airplane, or if you fly very high, or using some equipment, you can see the shape of the Earth to be spherical, and you see that the Earth is actually beautiful. The Earth is the only planet which supports existence of plant and animal. For now, the Earth is the only planet. For now, the Earth is the only planet that supports the existence of life. And when we talk about the existence of life, we are talking about the existence of plants and animal. So for now, it has not been proved that there is life in Mars or Neptune or Saturn or Pluto. It is believed now that the Earth is the only planet in the solar system that supports the existence of plants and animals. That's where you can see plants and animals. It takes the Earth about 365 days to complete its orbit. It takes the Earth about 365 days to complete its orbit. What do we mean by this? That it takes the Earth 365 days. Simply means that if this is the sun in the solar system, like I told you, the other planets revolve around the sun. So let's say this is the Earth revolving around this Earth. This is it here, revolving around the sun. The time it takes the Earth to move from here round back to this place is 365 days, and that is 1 year. That is 1 year. It takes the Earth 1 year to revolve round the sun, to start from a particular point and get back to that point again. It takes the Earth 365 days to complete its orbit. The distance between the sun and the Earth is about the distance here between the sun and the Earth. The distance between the sun and the Earth is the distance between the sun and the Earth. Sorry, I had to off my phone, it's ringing. The distance between the sun and the Earth is 148 million 800,000 kilometers. That's the distance between the sun and the Earth. This very distance here is 148 million 800,000 kilometers. It has a natural satellite called the Moon, which revolves eastwards round the Earth once in every 27 days. This our Earth has a satellite. Satellite is a smaller object that revolves around a particular planet. So there is a satellite revolving around this planet. Just like the way the Earth is revolving around the sun, there is also a small satellite here that moves around the Earth. So that satellite is known as the Moon. The small object that revolves around the Earth is known as the Moon. And it takes the Moon 27 days to move from here, revolve around the earth, and get back to this position. 27 days, which is roughly a month. The distance of the earth from the moon is the distance of this earth from the moon that is revolving around it is 384. This very distance is 384,629 kilometers. 384,629 kilometers. So these are the very important facts you need to know about the Earth as a planet in the solar system. The Earth actually supports the existence of plants and animals. That's why we are living here on the Earth. And it takes the Earth about 365 days to move around the sun. This is the sun. It takes the Earth 365 days to move from here and get back to this place, to make a complete revolution around this orbit. 365 days. The distance between the sun and the Earth is 148,800,000. Whereas the distance between the moon and the Earth, which it is revolving around, is 384,692 kilometers. And it takes 27 days for the moon to revolve around the Earth. Very, very important. Yes, welcome back. Today we are going to be learning about the Earth's movement. We are going to be learning about the Earth's movement. What kind of movements do the Earth make? We say that in the solar system we have the sun. They are revolving around the sun are other planets, including the Earth. So this is the Earth that moves around the sun. So this type of movement around the sun is known as revolution. But as the Earth is revolving around the sun, it is also rotating along its axis. It rotates like this. As it's moving like this, it is actually rotating and moving. It's rotating and moving, rotating and moving. If this is the sun, you have the Earth rotating like this as it's moving around it. So it's making two types of motion. Rotation about its axis. This is its axis. It's rotating just like a ball. You just spin a ball, it rotates like this. So it's rotating as it's moving around the sun. As it's moving around the sun, it is auto-rotating. So the rotational movement and the revolutional movement around the sun, those are the two movements. So rotation, what kind of motion is rotation? Say that the Earth rotation, the Earth spins. It spins on its axis from west to east. It spins on its axis from west to east. The Earth exists in an imaginary line joining the North Pole and the South Pole through the center. So you have a line, imaginary line. If this is the Earth, you have an imaginary line that joins the North Pole to the what? South Pole. So the Earth now revolves or rotates around this imaginary line. So it takes the Earth 24 hours to make one complete rotation, which is 1 day. So it will take the Earth 24 hours to revolve. Like this very place, let's say this is Africa. It will revolve like this and come back to this very point in 24 hours, which is 1 day. So it takes the Earth 1 day to rotate. You understand? So as the Earth is rotating, it is also moving around the sun. So what are the effects of this rotation of the Earth? Not the motion around the sun, but the rotation about its axis. What are the effects? Number one, it causes day and night. You find out that, let's say the Earth is here. This part that is facing the sun will be day. But when it rotates, the other side now will become the day, whereas the side that is not facing the sun will be the night. So that is what causes day and night. It also causes difference in local time between places. It causes difference in local time. When we study latitude and longitude, we are going to teach you how local time varies. The rotation of the Earth causes the rising and falling of tides. If you go to riverine areas, you're going to see that that the rising and falling of tides is actually caused by the movement, rotation of the earth. It also causes the deflection of planetary winds. When winds are coming, due to the rotation, it can cause the deflection of the planetary wind. It also causes sunrise and sunset. You can see that before the morning, before the day comes very well, which is sunrise, or when it's about to get to the evening, which is sunset, it's all function of the rotation of the earth. The places that are closer to the sun will have full brightness, whereas the places that are not as close as that to the sun will be having either sunset or sunrise at a particular time. So these are the effects of the earth rotation. Number one, it causes day and night. It causes difference in local time between places. It causes daily rising and falling of tides. It causes deflection of planetary winds, and it causes sunrise and sunset. So I'm going to teach us the other movement of the earth known as revolution. Yes, hello, welcome. Today we are going to be learning about the second type of movement of the earth known as revolution. I told us that there are two types of earth movement. One is the movement that the earth is making round the sun. This is the sun. The earth moves round the sun. It is known as revolution. Whereas if the earth is revolving round its own axis, it is known as rotation, which was the last class we took. So today we are going to look at revolution, which is the movement of the earth round the sun. This is the sun, and this is the earth moving round its revolution. So what is revolution? The earth revolution is the movement of the earth on its orbit. This path that it goes through is known as the orbit. Movement of the earth on its orbit. On its orbit around the sun, and it is done in about 365 days. It takes the earth 365 days to move around the sun and come back to the initial place of takeoff. Every 4th year, instead of the earth taking 365 days to move around the sun, it takes 366 days, and that is called a leap year. That is called a leap year. So on normal years, it takes the earth 365 days to move around the sun, which is 1 year. But after 4 years, it takes the earth 366. Every 4th year, it takes it, not actually after 4 years, but every 4th year, it takes it 366 days to move round the sun, and that 366 days is known as a leap year. The revolving of the earth round the sun is done at an angle of 66.5 degrees to the earth orbital plane. So you see that this revolution is not done in a perpendicular axis with respect to the orbital of the earth. It is actually slightly inclined. So what are the effects of the earth revolution? What kind of things that happen due to the fact that the earth is moving around the sun? What are some of the things that happen due to that? The revolution of the earth causes the seasons. It is because the earth is moving around the sun. That's why you have wet and dry season. You have wet and dry season. Wet and dry season. In Africa, that's what we have. Those are the seasons we have in Africa. It's either it's wet or it's dry season. Like now we are having a little dry season in Nigeria now. So it's either the wet or the dry season. The wet or the dry season is actually caused by the revolution of the earth. In polar regions, such as you can see in Europe or in America, we have seasons like autumn, winter, summer, and spring. Those are the seasons that you have in the polar regions. Also, the revolution of the earth causes summer and winter solstices, as well as autumn and spring equinoxes. So those are the effects of earth revolution. With time, I'm going to explain more how the earth revolution causes dry and wet season and these other seasons in the polar regions, the autumn, winter, summer, and spring. And also what winter or summer solstice is and what autumn and spring equinox is. So that is it about revolution. Revolution is one of the movements of the earth, and this is done by the earth. If this is the sun, the earth moving round the sun, that is revolution. I told us that there is also another movement that is done by the earth known as rotation, which is the spinning round its axis. That one causes day and night, deflection of planetary winds, rise and fall of tides, sunrise and sunsets. Whereas this very type of motion, revolution, causes the seasons and summer and winter solstice.